Good afternoon and welcome to a very special Restaurateur Hall of Fame edition of Weekends Miami Beach. It's 5 o'clock on Friday afternoon, and you know what that means? Diego Caiola and I sit down with local celebrities, local personalities, and we sit down with them and talk about what's going on today in the culinary scene and in events and things happening. Welcome, Diego.
Look, I'm a restaurant nerd, so the person we have today is just, I started working in South Beach in the early 90s, and he was already huge. So to have him here on the show, I think it's going to be exciting.
I can't tell you how excited I am. I'm going to go ahead and introduce him. He's a dear friend of ours. We've known him for a long time. His name is Stephen Haas, and welcome, Stephen.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Let me tell you something. Would have been here since the 80s. Stephen is the GOAT.
I'm sure. I mean, I've never even worked in a hospitality or never in a restaurant. I know about him.
Yeah,
I've never been a waiter or cook, nothing.
Stephen is a two-time chairman over at the Miami Visitors Convention, Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Yeah.
Got it, right? Nailed it. 2 times, 6 years he was chairman. He, I can't even tell you all the things. He brought Miami spice.
Yeah,
He brought Miami spice to Miami.
No way.
Yeah, he's the guy. Yeah. Okay? All right.
Now I
Here we go. All right, gentlemen, you know that this week we are sponsored by Spring 44 Vodka. Diego, this is one of my favorite vodkas, especially when you're mixing. This is made in Colorado. It's organic. I guess it's from the waters of the mountains, the springs, right?
Yeah, I mean...
Imagine how clean and delicious that is.
Look, great things come from Colorado. I'm a big fan of Colorado.
Huge fan of Colorado.
Did we have him on the show already or no?
Yes, we have.
Nice.
This is
I think
not
probably
the first time.
One. Yeah. It's good stuff.
So we're drinking Diet Coke and vodka today.
Yeah.
Our cocktail.
Let's keep calling it just that.
Diet
Coke with vodka.
Right. Everybody knows that the real name is Skinny Bitch. And Steven is not drinking Skinny Bitches. He's just trying to be a skinny bitch. Welcome.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks for
Cheers
coming
again.
on the show. Cheers.
All right. So, guys, today we also have Stephen. I want to introduce you to a young restaurateur, up and coming, like you were maybe, I don't know, 30 years ago or so, give or take. His name is Grant. He's here with us. He's not only the producer of our podcast, but he's also the general manager here at the cafe. So he's very anxious to meet you, obviously as the GOAT here of Miami Beach.
Yep.
The restaurant scene, the whole thing. I think nobody's been more influential over Miami's culinary scene over the last, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it, 40?
You can say
40 years.
I was 5 years old and it started.
He started right as he was just a child going into elementary school, and he's here with us today. Grant, welcome to the show. Grant also brings a younger perspective. What are you, a Gen Zer, Grant? What are you?
I don't know. I consider myself more of a millennial.
You consider yourself more of a millennial, but...
How old are you, Grant?
28. I'm right there on the cusp. I'm the in-betweener.
But are you a Gen Zer that identifies as a millennial, or are you just choosing to be a millennium?
I choose to be a millennial.
Okay.
Yeah, there's an old soul.
Wait a minute.
An older soul.
You're saying technically you're a tweener? Is that what that is?
If that's what you want to call it, you can,
Yes.
you can go that.
All right, so I like
we'll go
that.
with
The tweener. I guess that's
tweener.
between Gen Z and... All right, so we got a different perspective on that. Because people have been calling me and saying, Bernie, you guys are a bunch of old guys. You don't have any young perspective on here. You and Diego are over the hill. What do you guys know? And that's why we brought Grant on to give us a little younger perspective, right?
Well, let's make sure not to invite that person on the show.
Oh, that's right. Banned.
Out.
Right. Yes.
Old.
Out. All right. Here we go. Stephen Haas is born in Queens, New York.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Jackson Heights.
Exactly.
Right? Kind of like a middle-class neighborhood, I'm imagining.
It was.
Right? A middle-class neighborhood. And what was the neighborhood like back then? What was the ethnicity?
Basically, a white Jewish neighborhood.
White Jewish neighborhood. It's no longer a white Jewish neighborhood. Anybody's
Not
been
e-
to
not even
Jackson
close.
Heights recently.
Not even
but
close.
it's not that anymore. But you moved from Jackson Heights down to sunny Miami Beach when you're 14 years old. The whole family packs it up and comes down
Exactly.
here. Did your dad get a gig down here? Or just
He actually was.
did he win the lotto and said we're going to move to Miami
I
Beach?
wish he won the lotto,
Yeah.
but he was actually the general manager of Pumpernicks.
You're kidding me.
Pumpernicks.
No.
What's Pumpernicks?
So wait a minute. He
You
had
know
that
Wolfers?
job.
Pumpernicks was another kind of. It was
Pumpernicks
Diner?
was huge.
well, bigger than a diner.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Pumpernicks was. Tell me the address. It was on Collins.
67th and Collins.
67th and Collins. Pumpernicks was a Jewish delis type,
Right.
huge operation back in the day.
Oh,
like
across from
Wolfie's.
across from Walgreens.
I
No,
don't
it was
remember
Walgreens.
where it
Oh,
was. It was a Walgreens. Yeah. These were huge
was close.
operations.
Across from the
Exactly
Dover
there.
Hotel.
All right, so hold on. He already had the gig when he was coming down here, or he came down here and applied for the job? Was he a restaurant guy?
He was a restaurant guy. He actually owned a bar in New York and
Okay.
a restaurant. And
Oh, so that's how your affiliation to the restaurant business.
Exactly.
Okay, but like a good Jewish boy, when you come down here, you go to Miami Beach High. You're a high tide.
I went to Beach High.
Beach
Yes,
High.
sir.
Miami-Dade when it was a 2-year school.
Diego's also
Yeah, Beach
high
High
tide.
93. I just found out he's a
93.
high tide too. Unbelievable.
So he's a
And
real
FIU.
local. Grew up here. 1975. I do it every week, Steven. I give away your age. 1975. He graduates from Miami High. Then he goes to Miami-Dade Community College, and then FIU. Obviously, you weren't a great student. Right? Is that what we're
I wasn't a bad student. No, I was
But
actually a pretty
did
good
you
student.
not want to leave town? Because those are two very simple places to
actually-
get into, right?
My girlfriend actually was going to Boston University.
Okay.
And I applied and got accepted, and then we broke up. So I actually stayed in Miami.
Oh, the old breakup. Going to college
Exactly.
together and breaking up. I hate when that happens.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I
terrible.
hated it then.
So you were she broke up with you. You were heartbroken. You had to stay in Miami, go to Miami-Dade for 2 years. You went all the way out there to Kendall out there?
No, I went to North Miami.
North Miami. Whoa, okay. And then you went to FIU and you become an accountant, like a nice Jewish boy, right?
Exactly. That's what I did.
Were your parents like super proud? We got a son that's an accountant.
Yes, actually.
Yeah, right. We're in the I'm in the restaurant business. Anything but the restaurant business for my son. He's going to be an accountant, right?
That's
And then how
exactly
long
what
did
it
that
was.
last?
6 months.
6 months, and he said, "I hate this shit. I can't do it anymore."
Yeah,
said
it's just your fingers. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
back then it's
actually-
just
Your
it was
I
just,
fingers.
really could not. I could not stand being
Yeah.
an accountant.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand
He
it.
hated it. All right, so get this, Diego. The guy is an accountant for 6 months. He hates it. He needs to go get a job. So he walks down to a place called Club 41 or 41
Exact-
Club?
the 41 Club.
The 41 Club. Okay, you're way too young to remember that, but that's when Miami Beach, that's when Miami was on fire. Back in, I'm picturing like all the Tony Montanas in town must have been going there.
Absolutely.
This was adjacent to the Forge, owned by
Oh, right here on
the
41st.
Forge on 41st Street. Steven walks in and says, "I want to be a waiter." I've never done this before. Like, you didn't work as a waiter during.
Never.
Your father wouldn't have
Never.
let you work in a restaurant because he knew better. He walks in, he goes, "I want to be a waiter." And obviously, I'm thinking you're tall, lean, beautiful, and they hired you for your
18-year-old,
looks.
yeah.
Right? Because, I
Actually-
mean, you had no experience.
They didn't know that though.
They didn't know that you lied.
I
You
lied
on
through
your
the
resume.
entire interview.
How old are you? 23? How old are you?
Like 22.
Yeah, 22 years old. He's 22 years old. He lies his way. Like, you told him you had all this experience.
Exactly.
Right? All right, so he goes, and now he's 22 years old. Again, were you tall and
Working at
thin
the
and beautiful?
most successful restaurant in Florida.
Like, come on, tell us. Were you tall and thin and beautiful?
Of course I was.
Of course he was. That's how he got the job. Okay. So at 22, he's working at the most successful, most expensive
Most
restaurant
expensive.
south of Manhattan, certainly.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay. And this was a Malnick project.
It was.
Oh,
Now-
so they owned that one too. Nice.
This
Oh,
was
yeah,
a, this
yeah,
was a
yeah.
private
It was-
restaurant next door to the
Okay.
Forge.
It was private restaurant next door to the Forge where, I mean, you really had to show your baller's card back in the day, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, it wasn't for the regular Forge
No,
customer.
not at all.
Super
it was
high-end.
$5,000 a year membership,
There you
and
go.
if
So
you
it was a
weren't
private
dressed
club.
to kill,
Yeah.
you weren't allowed in, even if you had a membership.
And who decided if you were dressed to kill or not?
The host who was in $5,000 evening gowns.
My. Can you imagine those? Can you imagine that was the heyday of Miami back when the Mutiny was on fire?
Absolutely.
Club 40, the 41 Club is on fire. This is where Miami's fueled by cocaine money.
Yeah.
It was.
Now, so you're getting cash, right? This is like a money laundering operation, right? I just can't imagine the piles of cash at the end of the night that people were coming in, buying those
Absolutely.
Dom Perignon bottles in cash. It must have been out of this world.
It was actually out of this
Yeah.
world. It was
I
actually.
can only imagine that experience.
Not even to this day.
22-year-old kid, and he got to experience this. He doesn't last as a waiter very long. He's like takes over the place
Yep,
after like a year.
There was money there on 41st Street. Was the Fontainebleau Spa already there?
No,
That Fontainebleau Spa wasn't open by
no,
then.
no. They had a restaurant called the
This
Dining
is 79.
Galleries,
This is 79,
Okay.
80,
Yeah.
right?
which was actually a very popular
So
restaurant
then you become the GM at the Forge, right?
of the Forge.
All right, so when does this happen? You become the GM of the Forge.
In the end of 1980.
Okay. All right, so now you're 23 years old, and you're the GM of the Forge. How did you end up GM? I mean, they didn't...
I actually took Alvin Malnick, who owns the Forge
Yes.
in the 41 Club, and I took him out to lunch. And when
How ballsy is that?
And when we finished, I was the general
That's
manager.
unbelievable.
That's
Now,
awesome.
the truth is, I mean, I'm also picturing like that place was like mobbed up, right? Like there was gangsters in there, right? And I think that Al might Al hung out,
But
right?
Cuban
Like,
gangsters or Italian gangsters? Or I mean,
yeah,
what?
like Colombian gangsters, Italian, no, Jewish gangsters. I'm thinking, right?
How about a little bit of everything?
There you go. A little bit, a whole
That
mix
sounds
of
about right,
gangsters,
yeah.
all just showing up there at the 41 Club.
Hey,
I
you
can
got me with the
imagine.
Jewish gangster thing. I never
Yeah.
been in a conversation and heard of any Jewish gangster.
Meyer
Oh,
Lansky?
please,
Oh, yeah.
No. No,
But he's
The
more,
head of the mafia.
there's
But he's
plenty
like,
of-
that's Italian.
believe me.
I mean,
No, he wasn't.
No,
I know he was
was
Jewish, but
Jewish-American.
still. But
No.
when people see him, they see him like an Italian. guy.
But he
believe
wasn't.
me, believe
And
me.
'Cause he ran the
Who was his
Italian.
attorney? Alvin Malnick.
Oh, there you go.
I'm in
That's
school by
what
there. Yeah, I
knew.
didn't know that one.
I knew
Yeah.
That's
that there was
where Alvin
yes.
Malnick's connection stood.
Okay, so these operations in Miami in those years were money laundering operations. They had washing machines of cash
Yeah.
going on in the back.
They did.
I don't know.
They
There must
really
have been
did.
piles of yayo everywhere.
Hidden all over that kitchen. Must
Right?
have been yayo bricks or
You
yayo everywhere
can't
there.
imagine.
Okay, so you go on to run the Forge. Now, what kind of numbers was it the Forge doing when you're at 23 years old running this? Remember something. He's an accountant, and as an accountant, that's the most important aspect of the restaurant business. This
We-
is something
we
that
did-
Grant and I talk about all the time. You can't be a good restaurateur if you don't think like an accountant. Everything has to be accounted for. And
Absolutely.
as an accountant, if you've got the taste and you can apply it, that's how it is. Everything in its place in the kitchen, everything in its place at the bar, and all your financials in their
Yeah.
place. That's why
You have to be
all
organized.
restaurant, I would say all restaurant general managers should have an accounting degree.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
totally agree with that.
All right, so you've got an accounting degree. You're 23 years old. You're running the Forge. What kind of sales were you doing?
We were doing probably in season 800.
Not for the year.
Well, at that time, we're going to like 1981,
Yeah.
82, 83. We were probably
During that-
doing $15 million a year.
15 million a year. That's such a big number.
At that
In
time,
those
that
days,
time.
if you flash forward, it's 40
Yeah, it has
million
to be
today, 45
35,
million.
45
Yeah.
million
maybe
dollars.
50.
Yeah, maybe 50. So you're talking about one of the largest grossing restaurants in the country right now. I think they're
Exactly.
probably around 54. Joe's is up there too.
And so was China Grill.
And so was China Grill
China
back in
Grill.
the day.
Today, Komodo,
Exactly.
which is owned by China Grill.
Komodo is where China Grill comes from, no doubt about
Exactly.
it. So he's with the Forge for a decade until they finally closed in 1990.
Exactly.
Why did they close?
For renovations.
And- oh,
I
okay.
said, it's time to go.
It never came back.
What's
the
still on
renovations weren't good.
on the renovation now?
Well, it
don't know what
is,
they're
and it's
doing.
going to be reopening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually talked to
Grubman, right?
with Grubman and Malnick.
Wow.
But this is the son. This is
Right. Sharif.
Sharif.
Yeah, Sharif.
Well, I mean, whatever they do in that iconic space is going to certainly kick ass. And I mean, just a curiosity factor on something like that. Such an iconic restaurant for so many years, The Forge.
Since
I wish them well.
1968.
And listen, Dave Grubman is the man here in this town right now. So I can't
He
imagine
is.
them not having it work out as long as I let him do what he needs to do over there. That's amazing. So in 1993, get this one because they were my neighbors on Lincoln Road for 10 years. Van Dyke.
Oh.
He goes over Mark
Such a great
Soika.
spot.
Mark Soika kicked ass with the News Cafe on Ocean Drive.
Incredible
And then
spot.
his second project was on Lincoln Road. He bought the whole building, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
He buys the building, the whole beautiful building where Van Dyke
piano
is.
room in the 5th or 7th
And then you guys
floor,
build that.
whatever
Oh,
it
no,
was.
that used to be
second floor.
alums. That was alums, right?
It was
Before.
alums.
Oh, my God. We ate at that alums. Many places it was alums, and then they converted it to Van Dyke. Van Dyke had such a wonderful run on Lincoln Road for
Yeah.
so many years.
I couldn't believe it when they closed. I was like, what?
It was a
the
shocker to
when
everyone.
when I ran the Van Dyke did 5,000 people
Yeah.
a day. It was out of control.
What a beautiful historic spot when Lincoln Road was really beautiful. Again, you're talking about the 90s, which is
Yep.
really when Miami Beach mattered. That's why I think that Steven's the GOAT because he was here.
Yeah, he saw the
he was at
80s
the
and
top of his
90s.
game
Yeah.
when it really mattered.
Yeah.
It's like, Michael Jordan played when it really mattered. It doesn't even matter anymore, so LeBron's not in consideration. So you're the Michael Jordan of the restaurant business
I'll
here
take that.
in Miami Beach, and nobody can take that away from you because the 90s is when it was all new. It was all, once you see it,
Yeah.
like Komodo came after China Grill, but there was nothing before China Grill.
No, the 90s was the rally in the
Absolutely.
Delano, right?
And
that was
exactly.
rally Delano era.
Including my friend Jonathan Eisman, who was across the street from you over there at Van Dyke, who also opened around 93
At
over
Pacific
at
Time.
Pacific
Time.
Time, which also was a phenomenal hit. These were phenomenons.
And I would tell you, I would tell Bernie off that when I was going to college, I worked at the Rally, mid-90s.
Oh, my
Ken
God.
Zarelli used to own it. Beige, the nightclub called Beige was there. The Tiger Oak Room, the Martini Room,
Do you
all
remember
that.
the little bar in the front?
Yeah, there was a little cafe on the right-hand side, stuff like that.
I'm trying to think of the bartender's name. She was actually a friend of mine.
Yeah, Spanish.
Oh,
No,
if you get
no,
this
I'm
one, I'll give you
talking about
$100.
A black girl with dreads.
Black girl with dreads.
don't
Not too
know.
many of those in Miami Beach.
Crispy.
Is that her name, Crispy?
Yes.
Well, the reason why I always
name.
tell him this is
How
because
you doing? You want a little more Diet Coke?
I'm great.
no, I'm
Right?
good.
You good?
There was a concierge at the rally called Jennifer Suskin, and she used to
Of course, I know Jen.
yes, and she used to send everyone, all the VIPs, to Pacific Times. So I used to be the front desk, and when she wasn't there, we used to send them to Pacific Times. So all the VIPs, if they weren't eating at the Tiger Oak Room at the rally, and if they were like young party, would send them to the Delano. But if they want to have a good meal, Pacific Times.
So Steven joins the China Grill first, right? No, Tuscan Steak. You opened Tuscan Steak. I love Tuscan Steak. Another place
Never been.
Miami had never seen with the famous Dewey Lusasso as the chef.
Exactly.
People from Miami know who Dewey Lusasso was for many years here. I haven't kept up with him. Do you know anything about him?
Of course, he's the executive chef for. Oh God, I can't think of his name. The caterer. What's his name?
Barton G?
No.
Cater?
Caterer?
Big time. Oh my
Big
God.
time caterer, bigger than.
I'll come up with the name.
All right,
in a minute.
Okay.
we'll get that.
That-
Yeah, Grant, can you look that up for us?
It's
Who does Dewey Lusasso? Grant's going to start looking stuff up for us on the internet too. Dewey Lusasso, Chef Dewey Lusasso, where he's working now. We're going to get that in a second.
He's the executive chef for Bill Hansen.
Bill Hansen, isn't that the guy who did the Muppets? Anyways, good luck to
Muppets,
Dewey.
get
He
this.
was a real chef. You joined after. Oh, Tuscan was such a cool restaurant. Do you remember that place? You were still too little.
That was on 5th Street, right?
It was
there?
on,
Right,
it was
right
on
across from
Washington,
China Grill.
right across from
Yeah, I've
China
never
Grill.
been. No,
But
I
it was
remember
like,
it.
It was like the first restaurant that served family style, right? Like
Well,
everything
China
came on
Grill
a plate.
actually. So did China Grill.
Right, but Tuscan did that, right?
It was big time on that.
Kick ass. Everything was shared. So you
Everything.
bought like stuff and the steaks and the veggies and the sides, and it was all shared in big tables. It was a huge hit for a little while, but then it really didn't have a lot of legs, right?
Yes, it did.
It did?
It lasted for almost 15 years.
15 years. I don't know where I was, but I didn't go there.
That's a century
I went at the very
in Miami
beginning
Beach.
and I didn't go back.
That's a century in Miami
He
Beach.
goes China Grill right after that in 97, and then Stephen becomes the regional manager of all the Jeffrey Chadwell properties.
Correct.
There was 5 of them here in Miami Beach, and I'd say that Stephen in the 90s, in the late 90s, is the largest restaurant operator in Miami Beach. No?
Nice.
Yes,
Yes.
it's actually very true.
So tell us. We had what did we have? China Grill,
We had
Tuscan,
Red Square.
Red Square.
Wow,
that
Red Square.
Right? You remember that?
Yeah.
At the Harrison Hotel
Right there.
around the corner.
Exactly.
Yep.
The Delano.
The Delano Hotel. You had what? All the F&B
all the F&B.
of the Delano.
Of the Delano.
Best.
All right.
And the Sagamore Hotel.
For both of
another
those
great
hotels.
spot.
That's huge. So what are we talking about in F&B? What kind of sales were you enjoying there? In 1999, right?
In 99, I'd say if you add all of them up,
Yeah,
about
altogether.
50 million.
About 50 million? I'm
Yeah.
thinking more than that. I think more than 50 million.
Maybe more.
All
Could have
right.
been.
Because I'm thinking China Grill by itself
Was
was.
doing 20, 25.
25 million.
Wow.
So China Grill was half. Again, China
That's
Grill,
incredible.
if you flash forward at 30 years,
incredible.
it would be 55, 60 million dollars.
Yeah.
China Grill was the first, again, of that proportion of 400-seat restaurant.
Yeah, it was
Miami
a
had
mega
never seen that
restaurant
before.
with neons completely lit up and down. Yeah. I mean, it was so
place
big
was
that
hot.
Ocean Drive was
The
on
place
the
was
top.
hot.
Yeah.
It was at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
It was.
Jeffrey Chadwell was a real visionary there, right? Was he a brilliant guy? Like,
And
you
it's- and
enjoy
still
living with
is.
him? Still is. Yeah.
Still is.
Amazing. So, I mean,
And you might see a comeback this year.
here in
of
Miami?
China Grill.
Oh, nice.
it's about
Same
time.
spot?
No. You
No?
ready? The
Because
Bal Harbor Shops.
Oh, that's a
Leeds.
You know where Lee Zoo is?
Yes.
Now you know where
Oh,
China
that's a
Grill's
great
going to be.
spot.
Now you know where China
That's a
Grill's
great
gonna
spot.
be.
All right. So Steven Starr, we're getting Steven Starr out of there.
No,
He's Lazoo.
I know.
Oh, Steven
He's
Starr
going to be
staying.
merging with Jeffrey.
Oh, wow, that's exciting.
Yeah, that's inside
that's crazy
information.
inside restaurateur information. Two of the biggest restaurateurs in the entire country doing a joint project at Bal Harbor. Wow, Bal
That's a
Harbor's
great spot. I
kicking
mean, you can
ass.
only put a restaurant like that either in Design District or Bal Harbor, right?
Bal
I mean,
Harbor
those are the
really
two
upped their
spots
game.
really where there's a lot of money.
Wow.
And you're absolutely right, because Bal Harbor is actually on fire.
On
Yes.
fire.
All
really
the new
doing well.
development that they're having there, the expansion of the parking lot, the hotel residents
They've
across
done
the
a
street.
beautiful
Yeah.
job of curating an experience from head to toe when you get there, from the watch to the clothes to the makeup to the restaurants. It's a full experience.
Yeah.
It's true.
The stores don't need a lot of traffic. They get one or two heavy hitters.
That's
a
all
day.
they need.
That's all they need. Maybe one or two heavy hitters a week, and that's all they need. There, somebody coming in buying a couple bags of Louis and some fancy watches and all that stuff that we can't afford.
And
yet.
everyone, the security are dressed really cool. There's promo
Yeah,
girls all the time,
everything.
really nicely dressed,
Absolutely.
walking around. Yeah, it's different.
Well, good for
It's
them.
very
Good for
different.
Chad. Now, are you considering a reunion with Jeffrey, or is that something that could be in the works?
We'll leave it
I
in
want
the
to be a
works right
waiter at
now.
that restaurant.
What
I want to be a
dimensions?
waiter at that restaurant. Can I apply?
I'm considering taking over China Grill.
That'd be amazing.
considering it.
Can you imagine just the headline news?
We better get
between
invited to
Steven
the
Starr-
opening party.
Yeah, we must be
If
Let me
invited.
tell you something, Haas. If we don't get a freaking
Haas.
invite,
I guarantee, if I take the job, you're coming to
thank
the
you.
opening.
There we
You
go.
heard that here first.
Oh, we have it
Actually,
recorded.
the three of you.
I know. There you go.
Diego,
We got
Grant, and I are invited to the opening of China Grill at Bal Harbor. Excellent, and we'll let you know when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's something we need to let people know about, because that's one of the biggest
Exactly.
things happening in this area code. Absolutely. All right, so here's the thing. He's in charge of this massive restaurant operation, and then some guys fly planes into the World Trade Center. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That nonsense?
That's getting.
That
Why
was a
I'm laughing, but boy, was
disaster.
that a disaster.
That was a disaster for tourism. People weren't flying. Nobody wanted to get on a plane. Nobody wanted to get on a plane and come to Miami Beach. The place was dead. Dead. I mean, it was
Dead.
scary dead.
Yeah.
Okay. Steven has 5 restaurants that need to sell at least $50 million, although I think it was more. And I heard some really crazy numbers, like China Grill that was doing 800 covers a night. What were you guys doing, 50 covers?
50 covers.
Okay? Grant,
If
can you
it,
imagine?
on a good
How about
night, it
that?
was 50 covers.
All right, so imagine doing 800
was.
covers. Imagine the staff, okay, to do 800 covers just to keep people in line at the door.
And here's the killer: we never fired one waiter.
They didn't
in
fire
any of
one
my
waiter.
in
Back then
one
they-
of my restaurants,
Back then
not
they used
one.
to pay waiters $2 an hour. But
Different times.
it was different times. But Grant, you go from 800 to 50. How do you manage something like that? It's a complete disaster. Steven goes back to New York to powwow. He sees a week in New York that's called what? Restaurant Week?
Restaurant Week.
He at this time he's actually the chairman of the Visitors and Convention Bureau. Convention and
Close
Visitors
enough.
Bureau. Yes, and he comes up with the idea to form Miami Spice.
Incredible.
In August.
Still kicking.
It kicked so much ass that they said, "Come on, let's extend it to February." And the I mean, you felt it immediately.
Immediately.
Right? So
The very first year, I had 54 restaurants on the program. And out of the 54, only 2 said no. The other 54 said, oh my God, when can we start? Can we start like tomorrow? Everybody was desperate. The only 2 restaurants that I actually said no to me was Barton G and Prime 112.
Barton G, Prime 112,
Wow.
too good to be on Miami Spice. They didn't need it. Everybody else was hurting. Everybody else needed it. And so you went back up. You were doing back up a couple hundred covers, or you never got back to original numbers that year, right?
No, because I also chose the 2 slowest months of the year.
Right, of
August
course.
and, August and
Of course.
September.
Makes
which
So the
sense.
were
promotion
dead
really
months.
was that you visited these uber expensive restaurants that have deals during Miami Spice during August and September that you normally wouldn't go to. Like guys like us, we normally wouldn't go to a China Grill. Here, maybe we could go to China Grill and have dinner for
Yeah.
$29 or
Yeah,
$39,
35 bucks.
It was
right?
$39.
$39 and you crushed it over there. Would normally be a couple hundred for
Exactly.
Diego and I and the girls.
But
Or
who
maybe
owns that now?
$1,000.
The GMCVB owns
Yeah,
it
they
now?
own it. They own it and they
The-
run
the
it.
GMC.
It's not the same anymore. Now it's
Well, it's
people
there's
don't
over
take it
300
seriously.
restaurants on the
Yeah,
program.
yeah. And
And
also,
it's a 9-week program, so it's like if you go out once a week, it's 9 restaurants out of
What-
300.
What's the average restaurant paying? $1,000?
You pay $1,000
yeah,
because you have to pay
to
$1,000 to get in.
participate.
No, to be in the program.
so they're raising
about
they're raising
per restaurant.
$1,000.
300
Oh,
grand
it's
for that business.
That's great.
All right, way to go, and they can attribute that to Stephen Haas.
Hey, it's
who
worked out
invented
really
that.
well, so congrats.
Yep,
Stephen. Very good.
absolutely. All
Great
right, so then
addition.
Stephen moves on in 2009, opens up his own place. One of the truly iconic spots in Miami, in the location, in what would be in between, the Biscayne corridor there, kind of Wynwood-ish, kind of Midtown. It was like Biscayne and 20th City Hall. You
He
remember
was the
City Hall?
first. He was the first. You were one
Yeah.
of the first ones there to open up a big restaurant.
Exactly.
2 floors.
2 floors.
It
Yes.
was so fucking cool.
Yeah.
I mean, City Hall just made you feel cool showing up there. Maybe you saw, I went one night and Chris Bosch was there having dinner.
But it was like a New York, Chicago
Exactly.
mix
super
restaurant,
chic.
right?
Reggie
It was.
at the door, fucking beautiful Reggie all dressed up at the door.
The food
It
was incredible. I think I had the meatloaf. I
Yeah.
had something meaty, and it was incredible. I
something
know.
meaty. Yes.
It was a great restaurant.
Of course. Well,
It really
Diego,
was.
Diego's from, originally from Argentina, so he's mostly meaty.
Yeah.
And potatoey, meaty and potatoey.
You know, my brother-in-law is Gustavo Brian. He owns
Yeah.
Gustavo Brian Hair Studio.
Yeah, everybody
and
knows
he had his birth. That's how I knew about your spot. He had a birthday party in the 2nd floor.
And they're at City Hall.
Yeah, there in City Hall. I guess there was a party room upstairs, or
Yeah,
that's
it's at 100 people.
What an
Yes.
amazing,
We
what
had
an
a great
amazing
time.
spot.
It's at
And
100
what an
people.
amazing run. You go till 2015 where I guess the real estate got a little bit iffy and you had to sort of move on, right?
Exactly.
Which is a sad thing because City Hall is a place that should still be there. It should be one of those iconic Miami Beach, Miami restaurants.
Such great
That was
name.
always there and it was only there for 6 years. And
Yeah.
it feels like
Exactly.
it was longer. Stephen then goes and gets probably the best job in Miami, I think. He takes over the F&B at the convention,
Yeah.
here at the Miami Beach Convention Center.
well, I don't know about the best, but I guess somewhat of a secure
It's a nice,
weekly for sure
sweet-
check, right? I mean,
Sweet
Yes, it was.
paying-
Okay.
No, and there's not too many jobs in this town that pay that kind of salary.
That's
either.
also true.
That's up there in our game.
Great connections,
And
yeah.
also, I mean, the convention center should be one of the largest grossing restaurant operations in Miami Beach, and it certainly isn't.
No, it's not.
It's not. It's not even close.
No.
But I would figure as a chef, I mean, because when you have a convention, say you have 200 people, you have to do 200 of the same meals, right? I figure as a chef, don't you get like
you
kind of
also-
No. We don't take
How about when
conventions.
you're doing 5,000
Yeah.
to 20,000?
Yeah, we're not taking
That's
conventions
what I'm saying,
for
but it gets
2,000.
whatever get
3 times a
bored,
day.
right?
No,
No,
you know.
they had.
No.
He's doing all kinds of stuff, all kinds of
Actually,
cool
the
buffets.
chef who is still the chef is extremely creative. He's
Yeah.
actually
Puerto Rican guy, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
he's a phenomenal chef. His name is Ishmael, and he's really a phenomenal chef.
He's Puerto Rican. His name is
Yeah.
Ishmael.
Yeah, Ishmael.
He's Puerto Rican Jew. Oh,
No, he's not Jewish.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm learning a lot today, by the way, guys.
This is such an informative program for
Yeah,
Diego.
for me.
Excellent. All right, Ishmael is not a Puerto Rican Jew. He's thinking of Juan Epstein from the
Exactly.
from Welcome Back, Kotter. And anyways,
Yes,
so
Welcome Back, Kotter.
you'd think that was a sweet gig, but unfortunately, first we had a renovation. Where really you're shut down.
Yeah.
You're not
I
doing
was
any
shut
business.
down- I
So
was
you're
shut down
just
for-
collecting a paycheck.
And my office was in Opalaka.
There you go. He's in Opalaka. I don't know what kind of food. They might have some good barbecue out there. But who cares? You're collecting a paycheck. Finally, the convention center opens up. And guess what happens? Little thing called the pandemic comes in. Again, the convention center shut down. Steven's still collecting a paycheck, right? Finally, in 2022, after 5 years of collecting a paycheck and hanging out, we reopen, we start doing business, and the convention center is still not to where it should be. Certainly, they need that hotel.
Yeah.
Steven, the convention center is the economic engine of Miami Beach.
Absolutely.
The politicians are not talking about it. Okay, it is the single most important thing. The hotel was never finished. They're not getting the conventions
Actually,
that they need to
the
get.
hotel is actually under construction
They
now.
just
broke ground.
started it,
Exactly.
so
Last
good
week,
luck.
yeah.
That's
It
going to
took
take a
7
couple of
years.
years
Just broke ground, yeah,
away.
It
last
took
week.
7 years.
All right, so in the meanwhile, we're going to still have some programming, but the infrastructure isn't there. They don't have the infrastructure to do to program it and activate it weekly. They have to activate it bi-weekly.
Oh, look.
Can you imagine?
Don't hold your breath on that convention center because
What
it's
do you-
going to be at least 3-4 years, right?
Well,
It's going to be, I'm going to say 3 years.
There you go. See, 3
Well,
years. That's,
3 more
that's a long
years.
time in the restaurant industry.
Absolutely.
Paying 20, 30 grand a month rent. That's tough. And those restaurants on Lincoln Road are just
Yeah.
hurting.
They're hurting, and there's
But
nothing
who's paying
that's going
20,
to...
30 grand a month?
What? Yeah,
Oh,
nobody's
that's at
paying 20,
least.
30
No,
grand a
that's
month.
nothing. No, I'm sorry. Yeah.
You know, on Lincoln Road right now, they're paying 3 times that amount.
Go. You have to tell Bernie because I told Bernie we got a friend of mine that has a restaurant on Lincoln Road paying $70,000 a month for
They
small.
Exactly.
70.
It's out of
he was
control.
like, "What?
They
It's
are.
70 grand?"
They are.
Well, listen, they can only collect rent from somebody who's either selling enough to pay it or coming out of his own pocket. And I don't know how many people are wealthy unless you're partnered up with like maybe Bill Gates. I mean, who's gonna pay that kind of rent for a long time?
It's insane
Right now,
what
Lincoln
happened in
Road is
Lincoln
very,
Road.
very difficult.
Yeah.
A lot of Miami is very difficult for the restaurant business, but certainly there's a lot of people doing serious business. Stephen, the reason that you're here is because I need to know what your favorites are, man. You need to share this
Be thought about it.
information. Stephen the Goat is now going to tell us his favorites in town. I'm not even talking about Miami Beach, although he was a 50-year resident of Miami Beach. He lives in Bow Harbor now.
Nice.
He's moved up
It's
a little
sweet over
bit.
there.
It's nicer
Relax.
up there.
Beautiful beaches.
Right by the mall. The beach
Yeah,
is
you have
right
Surfside
there.
right there.
A little more
It's actually,
elegant.
it's a beautiful area.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's a
it's-
beautiful area. All right, so we're gonna say Stephen, we're talking about the entirety of 305. Okay, all right, Stephen, a must. Everybody wants to know what is your favorite. What do you think is the best hamburger in town? That's an easy one.
Actually, it's not an easy one.
I know.
It used to be an easy one.
Okay.
It's not anymore. I don't.
Let's see it. Hopefully, he picks
That's-
my favorite.
All right,
Which is what?
Drum
No,
roll.
I'm not gonna
we got a
tell you.
drum
I got
roll.
it. No, tell me. Let me hear it.
All right, Diego.
Which one?
Tell me. Diego? No, go ahead, Diego.
No, I'm not going to do the game. We do it all the time. Everyone knows
He
what
thinks
it
I'll
is.
Big
get-
Pink. He
Which
thinks
one?
Big Pink is
Big
the best
Pink.
burger.
No. No,
Not even close.
definitely not.
See, that's why I'm not gonna play this game. Let him do other
You
things.
see, yeah, go ahead. All right, Steven, let's hear it.
Definitely not.
You're probably gonna think with Bernie.
Go ahead.
Besides Bernie's,
No, Bernie does have a good burger, but
he does have a. You
Yeah.
do. You have a great burger.
Thanks. Prime burger.
Prime burger.
What? Come on, Steven.
I can't-
Off the top of your head, you can't think of one.
I
What
can't
did
think
it
of one.
used to be? Somebody said the burger at Joe's was really good. All right, Grant, why don't you chime in on this?
Let me
What's the
tell
best
you.
burger on the beach? Steven, you know what?
I actually
I'm going to
can't think
tell
of
you.
one.
I'm going to tell you
Yeah.
what the best burger on the beach is.
He'll tell you.
Grant, what's the best burger on the beach? Let's hear it from a tweener. What does a tweener
I have
think
to
is
go
the
with
best
Cafe
burger?
Bernie.
Really?
I'm a little biased.
Which one?
I'm a little biased.
He's
but
biased. He thinks Cafe Bernie's the
Cafe
best
Besides
burger.
Cafe
Number one on
Bernie,
the
what's
beach.
gonna
Like
be?
better than Cheeseburger Baby, better than Shake Shack.
Yes.
Shake Shack's up there.
Yeah, it is.
But I don't know if I consider that like a local Miami
It's
Beach
Yeah.
spot.
nothing. It's
It's
a
not.
nothing.
It's a
I'm
chain.
sorry. Shake Shack is not what I
Yeah.
would consider a great
All right,
burger.
Steven, you got no points this round.
Well, what's yours? You want to tell him what yours
I'm
is?
going to tell them what the best burger is in Miami
Go
Beach.
ahead.
It's the burger at the bar at Smith & Walensky. Okay.
I thought you were gonna say that, Mike. Smith and
You
Walensky.
thought he was going to say that?
I thought
Actually,
it
I
was
got to
this.
tell you, Smith and Walensky makes a great
There
burger.
you go.
No,
They
that's-
do.
The
I
great
actually-
Stephen Haas.
I actually recently had one there.
Exactly. The GOAT, the great Stephen Haas, agrees with me, so
Yeah.
thank you very much. All right, Stephen, what's the best pizza in Miami? This is an easy one.
Pizza.
Yes.
Oh my god, I
Pizza.
don't order pizza out anymore.
No. You
how
can't
about your
order
old
out.
school pizza?
It has to be, old school.
And it doesn't really have to be in Miami Beach. Mine is
Right.
half Miami Beach, half North Miami. Just to give a hint.
Just to give a hint. Steven?
I can't think of one.
Again, 0 points for Steven. The tweener. What does the tweener think is the best pizza on the beach? Grant?
Steve's Pizza.
There you go, Steve.
Can I tell you
choice
something?
of Steve.
I agree with
There
you.
you
Oh,
go.
Steven.
Yeah.
Not
All
only,
right,
That
not
was
only,
one of mine, yes.
not only are they a great pizza, their original Steve's Pizza, which does not exist anymore, was on 164th Street 55 years ago.
There you
Wow.
go. The original Steve's.
But the
all the way up
one in
on the
North
hood.
Miami opened about
40 something, right?
47 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, we're not dating ourselves right now.
But you're right, it's a great pizza.
Yeah.
All right, so
great spot.
the tweener thinks it's Steve's. I know that Diego thinks it's Steve's. The best pizza in Miami is I think it's Mr. 01, but I'm going to say that the best pizza in Miami is Lucali. Okay, it's Lucali.
different style.
It's-
I mean,
okay.
you know.
I totally agree with that.
Well, last show someone said Papa John's. Who was it that said Papa John's?
Alex
Someone
Fernandez thinks Papa John's.
Alex Fernandez, Commissioner
I was gonna
Alex
say-
said Papa John's.
I was going to say Domino's extra cheese after 2 a.m.
with
but
the
that doesn't-
munchies and drum.
Okay,
yeah, there's a
Mr.
lot that has to
01.
happen there for Domino's call.
Go
I
ahead.
have to throw in
Yes.
Petrolunga, North Bay Village, pizza.
There you
Untapped.
go. You heard
It's
it
up
from
there.
the
It's up there.
just past Gen Z, not
That's a
quite
fairly new
millennium.
place.
He thinks it's Petroluna.
yeah, it's a fairly new spot.
You know
I
it?
have-
Petrolunga.
no, I know it. I
We
haven't been
need to
to
go.
it.
All right. All right, Stephen.
It's in the Lexi, I believe.
Give us. All right. So, Stephen, tell us, what are your favorite spots? What's happening right now?
Yeah, what do you like to do now?
Yeah.
Where do you like to go?
Well, I got to tell you, my favorite restaurant, it has been my favorite restaurant for 50 years.
Wow.
Since he was a baby,
Since I was an infant.
and it's still open.
it's still
It's
open. It's
still
been open
open.
for more than
It's
50
Joe
years.
Stone Crab.
Joe Stone Crab is the greatest restaurant in the country.
It's
Joe Stone Crab was the greatest, and it's still the greatest.
Oh.
It's the greatest, no doubt about it. It's the one great establishment that Miami Beach and Miami has. It's the one that can compete on a global level with any restaurant in the world. We can't listen. The China Grills are great, and the
Smith and Walensky are
and
great.
Smith and Walensky's are great, but these are Smith is a
Yeah.
chain, and China Grill is a concept. Joe's is the real deal. They are the stone crab dealers. There is no better product on the planet. You can go all over the world and you're not going to find anything like a stone crab. And we have Joe Stone Crab here. It's really amazing and special. And they've been here more than 100 years.
Wow.
So good call on that one. I'm hearing about Sonny's. We haven't been.
We haven't been to
Right?
it, but I'm hearing only phenomenal things.
I've not heard so much good talk about a restaurant in Miami.
Where?
I
Where's
don't
that?
know how long
Little
it's been.
River.
It's a
Oh,
little
Little
river
River.
out there in the middle of nowhere, and they just blew it up out there. We gotta do this. Why don't we make a date and go the three of
We
us? It's
really
out
have
up there
to
by
go.
you.
We should check it out. Yeah, I'm in the shores. I'm 5 minutes from there. Yeah.
Dale. All right, what's going on this weekend? What are you doing this weekend? What do you do? What do you do on the weekends, man? What does the goat do on the weekends?
He's looking for a job.
But you don't look for a job on the weekends, so
Actually,
I'm guessing
I
you're
do.
goofing off.
I actually
Oh, really?
do.
You're
Yeah, I
out
really
there
do.
hustling.
I'm hustling.
All right,
I'm
but I
still hustling. I
like
haven't stopped.
I like the China Grill gig. We gotta get back in there, and I'm telling you right now, I want to be a waiter there. That's the gig.
China Grill is going to do phenomenal in the bellhop.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right, Diego, what are you doing this weekend?
Bunch of things happening. American
Yeah.
Black Film Festival.
Yeah, we don't want to miss that. Grant, put that down on our calendar.
Yep.
The Black Film Festival
Yep.
here in Miami.
It's 20 years. They're celebrating 20 years.
Exactly.
Brings a great crowd here. It's, film festival is the arts. Also,
Very
World
cool.
Ocean Day. Clean Miami Beach, Sophie, is June 8th. First Street Beach, 6 to 8 p.m. There's an event over there for
All right.
World Ocean Day.
What a good
And,
cause.
our friend George, Art Deco George, he's having his 100-year pop-up on 10th and Ocean Drive on
George
June
Neary,
12th.
George Neary, the
Yes.
interim president
Yeah,
over there at
we
the
had him on the
Miami
show
Design
about 3 weeks
Preservation
ago.
League.
Yep.
He's
So,
doing a 100-year pop-up?
Yeah, 100-year pop-up.
Where's that
Art
happening?
Deco. It's on 12, right there on Art
In
Deco
their
building
property?
on 10th and Ocean.
On 10th and Ocean?
right
When is
there.
that happening?
It's June 12th, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, so it's about a lot of presentation for the last 100 years.
Wait,
Art
June
Deco.
12th?
Yeah, June 12th.
Oh, I want to go.
6 p.m.
Awesome.
Yep.
George, we'll be there.
That's going to be a great
All
event.
right.
So that's
Good
what's
call on that
happening.
one.
Yeah.
Excellent. Where are you going out? Where are you eating this weekend?
I don't know. It's rainy. I don't know.
It's not going to rain. It
It's-
rained
it's
yesterday.
stay
It
home
will not
and-
be raining. It will not be raining this weekend.
You
Yeah.
promise?
Diego's a home cook, so he stays home
Yeah.
and he cooks.
Well, yesterday we went to Sushi Lucy in North Miami, not change the subject.
Yes.
For my daughters that are sitting here for their graduation, first grade and third grade. And it was
Great
pretty
name.
good.
Sushi
The little boats
Lucy.
go by and stuff like that. It's like
where is this
katanas.
place?
It's right off 123rd and Biscayne.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It's called Sushi Lucy. Really great spot.
All right, Grant, what are you doing this
Yeah,
weekend?
2 minutes from you.
Where are
Grant?
you talking about?
What are you doing this
Sushi
weekend?
Lucy?
Yeah. Right off
hanging out.
Biscayne
I'm
and
gonna do a little
123rd.
work.
Check it out.
I think Grant's
Google it.
working this weekend.
Laying low. We're
I
laying
will.
low.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Steven, last word. Last word. Anybody needs, I don't even know what you would do, Steven, at this point.
I'm actually looking to be a director of operations or a general manager of a fine dining restaurant.
Of course. That's in our blood.
Exactly. It's in my blood, and it's what I do, and it's what I
It's
still
you do,
want
and at
to
this
do.
point, we're not taking anything like that does less than 10, 15 million, right?
That is correct.
Right. All right. I hope that this China Grill sounds so exciting. It's
Yep.
going to be so crazy over there.
It will be.
It's going to blow the roof. I don't even know how they're going to be able to contain it.
Yeah, look, anything
at the
you're
harbor.
involved with, Stephen, we're there.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Imagine.
to eat there, obviously, but to support.
All right,
100%.
guys. So thank you so much, Stephen. Thank you
Yeah.
for joining us. I can't
Thanks
tell
for
you how
coming
thrilled
by.
I am.
Of course, it was my pleasure.
You were on our top 5 list when we started the show, by the way.
Yes, you were
Yes.
on top 5 list.
Yeah.
You only had
Finally
5
you
people
came.
on the list.
No, well, it took you 2 months to come on the show, but we're so happy to have you.
That's
here.
right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Steve.
Cheers. Have a great
Cheers.
weekend. We'll see you
guys
next
have
week.
a good weekend.